Morning. It's June 21st, and I wanted to do a little video of our Yukon Gold harvest and our first planter box. This is actually the second planter box, and you can see these plants are dying back. And I was going to wait till the end of June, the beginning of July, but the first box I had looked even worse than these things. They were about dying off to the ground. So I went ahead this morning, since we're going to have a few more days of dry weather, and decided to make a video on how we did in our raised bed planter box. We planted these Yukon Golds the third week in March. These are seed potatoes from our last year's plants. And you can even see some of these seed potatoes are still intact, and they aren't even rotting, while most of them did rot down a little bit. So there's the remnants of the plants. And I tried to take the potatoes out as they were planted. But first I had to cut off all the tops of the tomato plant. You can see them in the trash bag there. And then once I cut all the tops off, I left a stalk about 6 inches so I knew where the potatoes were. And then I had to get all the leaf compost. I used a couple bags of leaves from my compost so my soil wouldn't dry out, and there's before, and here's what it looks like after. And I wanted to leave one plant in the ground so people wouldn't think I went to the store and bought a sack of potatoes and threw them on the ground and made a video of it. So this is about what we ended up with. Now, as these come out of the ground, I laid them in exactly the order that I took them. And you can see some of them we did good, and some of them we didn't do so good. But on an average, that was a really nice plant right there. But on an average, we didn't break no records, but we didn't get skunked either. So we'll go over here, if I can do this without knocking the video off. And on an average, let's see, we're averaging about, I'd say, 3 to 6 potatoes, and we had one there that's 2, 4, 6, 7 potatoes. And these are pretty nice sized potatoes. We got a couple big ones here. I wish I could show you the scale of them. Well, there's my tape measure, if that helps out. So let's see if I can do this without shutting my video off. So that's not bad. And I noticed there's a seed potato, it's rotten. So that was about, we'll call that 4, because there's 2 little ones there, make a big one. What I noticed, I planted these potatoes 8 inches deep in the ground. And the potatoes formed about 4 inches from the top of the dirt. So I really don't think I had to even go 8 inches down. I probably could have got by with planting them 6 inches. But that's okay. You know, now we know. Overall, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 29, 30, 31, 32, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, 62, 64, 66, 60, around 70 potatoes. And these are our biggest, which that's not shabby. If I lay it right here next to my tape measure, you can kind of see it's bigger than an average tape measure. So that's a nice sized potato. I only had 2 of them that rotted, and I didn't, well, I planted them at the 3rd week in March, and I only watered them twice all year. We had a lot of rain early, and then it turned off to not getting any rain at all. But I just quit watering because I got all my water barrels I'm draining down completely. I've had to refill them about 4 times now, and with the heat and no rain, and these things about finishing up. A Yukon Gold is a 95 to 100 day potato, so I'm maybe a week early. But I wanted to go ahead and get these out of the ground and maybe get this planter box re-amended and maybe try to plant some beets. I dug them all by hand because a Yukon Gold is a really soft skinned potato. And even digging them by hand, I scratched a couple of them with my nail, and I think they'll keep though. I was pretty easy about digging them out, real easy. And when I planted them, I amended this planter box with the Bella Pro Mix to lighten up some of this soil so that when I did dig it by hand, it'd be a lot easier. And I don't know weight-wise what we got, but you know, I'm happy with that. These are the seed potatoes we grew the year before. These little potatoes here. And you know, these, I originally bought the seed potatoes the year prior. So 2 years ago I bought seed potatoes. We grew some last year, and they did pretty good. I grew most of them in pots and buckets, and the potatoes in the buckets didn't get as big as these potatoes, but I got just as many, and it was a lot easier to just dump the bucket out. Now I did have to water those a little more than this planter box, so it's, if you don't have a lot of space, you can plant a potato in a bucket, but I would stick with at least a 5-gallon bucket. And I've got down here, we've got some 2-gallon pots. Well, it's between 2 and 3-gallon pots, but they're still green and looking good. Those will be my last ones, so we'll see what we get out of those. And here's some 5-gallon buckets that I painted black to help with turning the potatoes green, and we'll see what kind of yield we get out of these. Here's our baby Dutch yellow potatoes, and I'm already liking what I see with these guys. These guys are, this plant right here is almost 4.5 foot tall. So I think these are doing a lot better looking wise than the Yukon Golds. They're holding up well to the blight. You can see we're getting a little bit of potato blight right there. Yukon Golds are great, but you got to keep spraying them for the blight. I didn't. I just mixed up a little bit of baking soda and some water to help with the blight. And I sprayed them twice when I watered them. And, you know, it is what it is. You can see these things, how they're dying out, turning yellow. So tomorrow, or maybe later on today, I'll do another video on this box. But all in all, I think we did pretty good. I can't complain. Anything you can do and grow on your own and not rely on the market, in today's times, the better off you'll be. They say we're headed for rougher times coming up, especially in the closer to the fall and winter. I don't know, but my wife and I are trying to be as self-sufficient as we can, and Lord willing, these potatoes will get another good harvest like this out of this box right there. We'll be able to store them and have some for next year to start again our own seed potatoes that's grown organic. We really don't fertilize as the year goes on. I put organic bone meal and organic blood meal and just a little bit of tomato and vegetable organic fertilizer in the hole, and that's it. And I guess if I'd have took a little better care of them, they'd have been a little better yield. But I got a lot of stuff going on here, and I'm happy with what we got. So there's our first harvest of the Yukon Gold potatoes. Around 100 days, 90 to 100 days. You too can do this even in a bucket. When I pull the buckets, I'll do a video on the harvest of those. So if you live in an apartment, you can set you a potato in a bucket on your patio and get you some free potatoes. There you go. Thanks for watching.